Dear friends, welcome back to my channel, Alpha Physio Pelvic Care, all things pelvic health and beyond. Today I would like to bring up the topic that it seems to me as a pelvic floor physiotherapist that it has been talked about so much, so vastly, and like everyone should know about it, but in fact I realized that this is not the case. Therefore, I think it's very, very important to bring it up. And today I will talk about diastasis recti, abdominal separation. And in particular, I will talk diastasis recti during the pregnancy and after birth, because diastasis recti, abdominal separation, can occur also in other cases, not only related to pregnancy and birth, but we will keep these cases out of this video for now, for the sake of clarity. Diastasis recti, according to the research, towards the end of the pregnancy and right after birth will occur between 50 to 100% of all women. Just listen to this number, 50 to 100%. So the research is very heterogenic, so there is no single consensus, but it does show you that it's a very, very common condition. Let's take the least number, 50%. Every other woman will have diastasis recti. And because it's so common, quite often it's overlooked. It's expected to be part of pregnancy and postpartum period, but in fact it can influence woman's life vastly. So let's first have a look at two things in this video. But before, if you enjoyed this video, if you find it useful, if you learned something new for you, don't forget to press that like button. If you have more questions or any commentary, let me know in the comments. And of course, subscribe to my channel to learn about more things about your pelvic health. In this video, I will talk about two main things in relation to diastasis recti: signs and symptoms, and of course, towards the end, I will show you how you can self-assess diastasis recti, how to determine if you have one or you don't have one. Let's talk about signs and symptoms. Common signs and symptoms that women come to me that they notice with diastasis recti is the belly. The belly that looks like it never goes. Women might feel like she's getting back in shape after birth, or she's generally of a slimmer build, but she just feels that that belly at the lower or the top part, depending where diastasis recti is, it's always there. It's never gone. Even if she tries to suck it kind of in, the belly is always still there. And the reason is because diastasis recti is overstretch of the soft tissues that are connecting two abdominal muscles here, several layers of them. It's overstretch of these tissues. It is simply impossible to engage your abdominal muscle and get full closure of that area because it is so overstretched. The analog I can show you about diastasis recti is this elastic band. So imagine this is my linea alba. This is the area, the line here that runs between your abdominals, and it starts from your in between the ribs, zygote process, and ends at your pubic bone. So here is the line, and it's fairly elastic, abdominals attached to it, and whenever we engage, elasticity increases and we are able to draw our tummy in. As the baby grows, pregnancy progresses, this line is getting overstretched. And then some people, depending on their body type, depending on their pregnancy, depending on their genetics, depending on many, many factors, this line, after giving birth, will kind of bounce back and go back to its natural state. In some people, again, different factors, line can become a little bit looser. So they are not able to create that tension through the line. No matter how much they try with the muscles, the tension through the line is not created because this is where the muscles attaches. And this is creating this kind of belly that seems like it never goes. Another common symptom with diastasis recti I see with women is bloating. Bloating because our abdominal muscles and our fascia are creating certain pressure around our gut where peristalsis, the movement in the gut, can occur. Now imagine this pressure is reduced, so also the gut is kind of, let's say, moving out of its place. It doesn't have enough support and compression through abdominal muscles, and therefore the peristalsis, the movement in the gut, can become slowed down. Therefore, women might be suffering from constipation or a lot of gases. Quite often, my clients will say, I drink a glass of water and I'm bloated. It's like I haven't done anything, I haven't eaten anything, or I have eaten a piece of bread and I'm fully bloated. So this can be effect of diastasis recti. Pain is common complaint in diastasis recti, abdominal separation, and the pain is and can be, not is necessary, but it can be in two places. One is in the actual abdominals, around the belly button, especially if there is a hernia. Two, in their back, in the low back, because the attachment of the muscle goes from your abdominals to your spine, and it creates kind of supportive corset around your spine. If the area is loosened up and there is not enough support through your spine, you will get low back pain. And in fact, there is also a third place where you can get pain. This is your pelvic floor. And since we're talking about pelvic floor, let's jump in straight away and talk about how diastasis recti, abdominal separation, influences your pelvic floor. If you have separation and looseness around your belly area, inability to fully engage your abdominals, it will be also difficult to fully engage your pelvic floor and your diaphragm to expand and contract completely. So our pelvic floor muscles, our diaphragm and our abdominals, they create like a cylinder that creates intra-abdominal pressure for our back support, for our organ support, and generally to support our core. If this is not happening, if there is major overstretch around abdominal area, therefore there will not be enough tension to create full pelvic floor lift, and therefore again you can have this pelvic pain. You might have a heaviness feeling around the area of vagina, of rectum. You might even have hemorrhoids as a long-term implication of diastasis recti. You might have pelvic floor weakness and even pelvic organ prolapse, dropping of the bladder, of the uterus, of the rectum because of that pelvic floor weakness and abdominal weakness. Also, it is very important to remember that our inner organs, they're not just hanging there up in the air, they're attached through a lot of fascia, a lot of connective tissue from our pelvis also into our abdominals. And this fascia quite often blends also with our abdominal fascia. If the abdominal fascia is overstretched, the fascia that supports organs, for example your bladder or your uterus, will also not have enough suspension and lift, and therefore it can lead to pelvic organ prolapse. All this can lead to longer term implications and implications of somebody's, let's say, lifestyle, quality of life. So if people are in pain, they might struggle to have intimacy, for example. They will be in pain. They will say, okay, I can't go to the gym because I cannot do exercises properly. I'm again in pain. I cannot engage my muscles. I don't feel my muscles. I'm not sure if I can go back to my running, for example, because I leak because of pelvic floor weakness that has occurred together with diastasis recti. Diastasis recti usually occurs in pregnancy. Quite rarely, a woman will go all the way towards the end of her pregnancy without any abdominal separation. In fact, diastasis recti is a natural injury that is also adaptation to pregnancy. And therefore, it's very important to start to address it, at least on a basic level, during pregnancy. So whilst you're pregnant, it's important to see a specialist that can teach you how to breathe correctly, how to engage your deep abdominals and your pelvic floor correctly. And if you just do these things, you already will be 2 steps ahead. If diastasis recti occurs after birth, you will be 2 steps ahead on treating and addressing it. You will not have to learn right from the beginning. So let's first assess our diastasis recti, and then I will teach you a very, very basic technique that you can learn. And if you go with this technique to any kind of recovery course or any exercise class, let's say, you already will be prepared for the correct engagement to address your diastasis recti. In order to assess diastasis recti, you need to lay down on a flat surface with your knees bent. And first, what you can do, without placing any tension around your abdominal area, is just to touch the area from your zygoid process, so where your ribs start to separate, all the way to the pubic bone. This is how long the white line is running, and this is where we will start to feel it. What we are feeling here for is how the line feels. Is it really, really soft? Do you have any resistance going on? Can you actually place your fingers inside, or you have some resistance going? Can you actually feel the gap? Because sometimes you can feel the gap even without putting tension through your abdominals. Maybe there is a painful spot around it. Feel how it feels. If you had cesarean section, your abdominal muscles were also cut not only this way, the abdominals are not cut this way, is the skin, the fat tissues are cut in a horizontal. The abdominals are cut along the white line. And this is actually better because you don't cut along the muscles, you cut only on the white line, then the area is open, and then your uterus, again, horizontal scar. And quite often this scar that is made in your white line is not even stitched back. So it's being let to heal by itself, and therefore it's super important for the moms who had a C-section to work with the C-section scar massage. I have a separate videos and a course on it. You can check in the description, link in the description. So we're laying down here, we are touching, we're seeing what's happening with the white line. Does it feel somewhere thinner? We expect it to be a bit thinner and a bit bigger around the belly button. It's natural, let's say, hole in our area, and we go all the way up to the pubic bone, all the way down rather than the way up. And we just make either a note or a mental note what is happening there. If you feel more opening on your ribs, if you feel that your ribs are really popping up, it also can be indicator that you more have of an upper separation rather than we're going to mark it. And how do we mark it? I here have a pencil, eyeliner in particular, all right? I'm lifting my head, I'm putting pressure here through my abdominals. I myself don't have diastasis recti. I had one when I just gave birth. So I just pretend I have one. And we start to palpate again. Here, we're looking for the edges of the muscle. And believe me, it's a quite distinct feeling when you feel the edge of the muscle and then you feel the softness of the abdominal wall. As we go up, we can hold our head up like this and we mark. Here is the edge and we mark the edge, the edge. I'm doing a little bit bigger, obviously. What I did, I marked here, I put the marking where I feel my white line. So here we're looking at 3 things and not 2 things that are quite often, let's say, promoted in social media in general as given as an information. Thing number 1, we look how far is the scar, the separation, okay? We mark the length of separation. Then we see the width, okay? We see the width and the depth. Now it makes us 4 things. We see how deep we can go. Is it just a tiny bit, or we can go all the way down and feel our gut? And yes, I have seen diastasis recti where I can actually palpate someone's gut, peristalsis. So width, depth, how deep we can go, okay? And also, very important bit is the tension that can be put through the linea alba, through the white line that is actually overstretched. So as I am up here, I'm asking my client to take a breath in, try to squeeze and engage the pelvic floor, do a bit of Kegel, and do a little lift of the head and see if that depth that I can go with my fingers can be reduced. And if I can actually palpate a bit more tension than it was before when they just simply lifted their head. Okay, so I ask them to do the pelvic floor engagement. Sometimes I ask them to do a bit more flexion, and I see how much tension can go through that white line. After we assessed the length, the width, the depth and how much tension can go through the white line. So if we have a width of about 2.5 centimeters at the narrowest, at the widest point, which usually is belly button, usually it's not even counted as huge diastasis recti. It's not even counted as diastasis recti. If you're about 4 centimeters at the widest point, it is already considered the diastasis recti, and therefore you will need a specific program tailored to your abilities of tension control. If this is a big diastasis recti, which is about 10 centimeters plus, it's about this wide, okay? I have seen a couple of cases like that where there is absolutely no tension possible to create through the white line. There is a discussion between kind of two management strategies, and it all depends what the client wants. Surgery, okay, surgical repair. If a client doesn't want surgical repair at all, or at this moment of time, maybe they don't want, maybe they have a young child and it's out of question, we still work on as much as we can pelvic floor recovery, engagement, breathing, without putting a lot of pressure through that white line. So creating as much tension as it's possible to sustain without overstraining it. And again, here we're talking about very, very individualized program. So if you suspect you have diastasis recti, if you suspect that you have a wider diastasis recti, it's always good to go and check with a healthcare professional to determine the exact width, the exact tension, to do a couple of tests, see how much you can control that tension through diastasis recti. One thing you can start doing is breathing and engaging your pelvic floor. And I also have this as a separate video, 360-degree breathing and engagement. If you are pregnant, or if you're just postpartum, if you have not decided yet, or you are not diagnosed with diastasis recti, one thing it is safe to do is to breathe and to engage your pelvic floor and your deep abdominals, which is nice long deep breath into your sides, here into my hands. Relaxing the area around your pelvic floor, so kind of around your anus, around your vaginal opening. And as you breathe out, we do the pelvic floor squeeze and lift, and tummy engagement. So we're kind of zipping up. If you're pregnant, and even if you have quite an advanced pregnancy, you will feel that lifting of the belly happening, and this is what we want with that transverse abdominal engagement. And if you learn to do that, as I said, you're going to be 2 steps ahead in your rehab program. I hope, guys, that this kind of put clarity into diastasis recti discussion. The takeaway from this video is do address diastasis recti. Do not leave it for longer, because for as longer you leave it, it reduces potential to heal it. Although it's never too late to start, it's just the earlier you start it, the better. But don't leave it for long, because as you leave it over the month and over the years, other changes can happen in your body, different stresses go through your body. Life changes, so you might not have time, so address it as soon as possible, and definitely address it in between your pregnancies. Do not leave it whilst you had all your planned babies. Address it after every single pregnancy and birth. If you like this video, don't forget to drop me a like, and thank you for following. We'll see you back very, very soon. Ciao, ciao.